Hey there, welcome to my new vlog. I would like to talk about polyamory today. Polyamory slash non-monogamous and open relationships. Now, they are all different things somewhat, but we will discuss them all potentially today. I gotta say, for a long time I didn't really know what those lifestyles were about, and I'm not here to necessarily support or oppose any of those lifestyles, and I don't subscribe to those lifestyles, but I think it's an important issue to be aware of and be conscious of, especially when discussing relationships in general and love in general. Now, if you have watched my previous vlog, you probably know about the toxic relationship that I have been. It was a very on and off relationship, and during one of those breakups, I have tried to, go out lots and party and all that sort of stuff. And on one day, myself and two female friends, were out and about, and we walked past a bar, and it was a bar called Polly. We didn't think much of it. One of the girls said, "Oh, yes, a nice bar," blah, blah, blah. We walked in, and straight away I thought it was an interesting, unusual sort of a vibe. There were sort of ladies doing kind of like burlesque performances, etc. I'm like, okay, well, that's cool. Nothing wrong with a bit of burlesque. So we watched and then stood at the bar for a long, long time waiting to get a drink. And this guy came up to me and he's like, "So, are you here for the event?" I'm like, What are you talking about? What event?" And he's like, "Oh, it's Poly. It's a polyamorous meetup." I'm like, "No, sorry, we just walked in. I don't know anything about this." And so he was very polite. He started talking to me about this event, and basically said that he's there with his partner of 14 years and meeting his partner's new boyfriend, which I thought was quite fascinating. And he said, "Oh, and also, the week before, I was with my new girlfriend, and we were hanging out with my partner, so she could meet her, and it was such a lovely experience. We went to this festival, and it was great." And I was like, "Okay, that's really interesting. So you were together for 14 years, is that right?" And he's like, "Yeah, we were together for 14 years." And we talked about polyamory and non-monogamous lifestyles for a long time, but it's only recently, over the last sort of couple of years, that we actually started doing something about it. So I actually thought that was a really interesting case. So he was essentially saying that it's important to have, build a bit of a strength to the relationship in order to be able to do this, which I thought was really fascinating. It was almost kind of like, using the strength of monogamy to support their, desire to experience this poly lifestyle. And so I asked them, "Okay, so do you guys, play together? Do you have, I don't know, threesomes, foursomes, all that stuff?" And he said, No. I have, my partner, and I have my girlfriend, and, when I'm with my partner, I'm with my partner. When I'm with my girlfriend, I'm with my girlfriend, and vice versa. When my partner is with her new boyfriend, that's what they do. And he also said that he feels like he has equal amounts of love for this, for his partner and for his new girlfriend. And look, this was all mind-blowing stuff to me, because, I could understand how someone could have sex with one person and then go and have sex with another person. I get that. But to actually have equal amounts of love, romantic love, for two separate people, I found that really interesting. So I asked him, "Look, don't you get jealous? Don't you get jealous about your partner going off, with some other guy, and vice versa, that she get jealous of you?" And he said, "Yes, we get jealous all the time, but then you just sit down and you work through it." So that was really fascinating to me. It was essentially kind of him accepting that there's this level of pain. And to skip forward, I've actually had some other conversations past this event with some other people, and people from that lifestyle, and they have often said that this is a lifestyle that you will enter if you prepare to accept pain. I thought that was really interesting, because that's probably not something that is often talked about. So it's something that you can play around with if you / your partner prepared to hurt each other and prepared to be hurt, which I think some people probably enter into these sort of things without necessarily thinking about that aspect. And truly kind of accept the consequences. So that was really interesting for me to hear. We were also, so I said bye-bye to that person. We started talking to other people, and we met this other couple, and she was with a reasonably new boyfriend, but it kind of seemed like he was sort of her, primary partner, but she was actually quite against that term. She's like, I love all my partners equally. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. Like, how do you do that? Like, how do you have the same amount of love for people? How many boyfriends do you even have? And she's like, oh, I have, 5 different partners. So this is my number 5, but we're thinking about living together. But, on other days of the week, I'll go and see, these other 4 people. And I was like, okay, so, and then I go to her boyfriend, so what do you do when she's out and about, doing this sort of stuff? And he's like, oh, I play PlayStation, I masturbate. And I was like, oh, God, that doesn't sound like a lot of fun. That doesn't sound very happy. And he didn't say that he was unhappy, but there was something about him that kind of actually made me feel like, even though he's obviously accepting this, she doesn't drag him into these events, she doesn't force him to accept this lifestyle. There's something about him that internally seemed unhappy. That's not actually what he wanted. And I think that was another thing that really caught my mind, is that in this sort of a relationship, the same as you probably would in any relationship, you don't just need to figure out what you want, you also need to be mindful of what the other person wants. And sometimes they don't have the strength or the courage to tell you. So maybe if she really tried to listen to him, she probably could have understood that maybe some of the stuff that she's doing is actually not what he wanted. But at that stage, she seemed, very happy, very out there, about her, 5 partners, 5 boyfriends that she all loved equally, and how amazing sex life that she was having, and all these orgasms that she was having, etc. So look, we actually exchanged contact details. I've never, to skip forward, I've never had any sort of sexual romantic relationship with her, but we kept in touch because I actually found this story interesting, and I wanted to sort of see how it unfolds. And I'm glad I did, and I'll get back to that in a second. But again, I kept on talking to other people, etc., and I had some fascinating conversations. And I was speaking to this guy who was American, and that was really interesting to kind of get some international flavor, international perspective into this as well. And I kind of said to him that, look, I don't subscribe to polyamory, but I've, in my relationship, whatever I've experienced, that I oftentimes was feeling really confused when I found out that my ex-partner was cheating on me, or she was out and about with some other guy or whatever. Like, it made me feel really extremely hurt and heartbroken, and yet I had this almost like this physical extra level of desire for her that I couldn't even control. Like, I would just want to go straight into the bedroom and fuck your brains out. And he's like, yeah, man, I totally get it. And I'm like, what do you get? And he's like, you wanted to reclaim that pussy. And I was like, oh, shit, okay. And that gave me a really interesting perspective on that, is that it was almost like when someone ripped out something that's mine, my love, my girlfriend, they made, someone that I had this special sort of connection, and sex was a part of that special language that we had between us. And when someone was introduced into that without my consent, or without my approval, it made me really hurt. But then instantly I wanted to try to get it back. Now whether it's logical and whether it's real is another story, but he really put it in a good perspective, is that what I wanted was to reclaim that pussy, that connection that I felt like I was losing, someone that kidnapped something that's mine, that's something that felt like a part of me, and I wanted to get it back. So that was really groundbreaking, and I think that's something that I would try to work through for a long time. Anyway, look, I wasn't there to to hook up with anyone or whatever. I wasn't there on purpose, but I was glad that I got all these stories, etc. And like I said, exchanged the contact details with that girl with five partners, and moved on with my night. And I gotta say, I was having great conversations. My friends weren't enjoying it nearly as much as I did, so they were done early. So we moved on with our night and left the bar. And anyway, so I kept on chatting to that to that girl, etc. And what really started to stick out for me is that she seemed extremely unhappy. So not only her boyfriend, not only her partner, let's call him primary partner, even though that's not the term that she was using, not only did he seem unhappy, she herself sounded unhappy. And, in one of the messages she said something like, I feel like no one loves me. And I was like, holy crap. This woman has 5 partners. She's trying to presumably get love out of, obviously they have sex, etc. So they have like the physical lovemaking. But she's not really getting the emotional, romantic connection from any of them. She's seeking something that's not really there, and she's not feeling it anyway. Maybe they have loved her, but so that she didn't have that experience. A few months go by. Her partner, her primary partner, breaks up with her. Essentially, tells her to get out of his apartment, and he brings in a new girl, a new monogamous partner, one-on-one relationship, and apparently he seems really happy with his new partner, and my acquaintance feels heartbroken, distraught, that no one loves her, etc. I thought that was really fascinating, because I think if she was really listening to him, not just to what he was saying, but how he was saying it, what was going on for him, she probably could have done something about it early on and perhaps made choices that made herself happier too, but she didn't. And that was pretty much it. Like, for her was a very unhappy ending. For him, I don't know much about him post that, but seems like he got essentially what he wanted. Maybe he couldn't express it, but internally what he wanted was a loving relationship with a woman that was focused on him. Surprise. Recently I was reading an article about this guy who started making a documentary about polyamory, and he started off in a relationship with this woman. They were monogamous, and then they decided to explore polyamory and started making a doco about it. I haven't seen the doco. Maybe I'll watch it, maybe I won't, I don't know, but it ended up in the news. It was in the newspapers, etc. And long story short is that their relationship fell apart because this girl decided to pursue a relationship with another guy that she met. And this guy that was making the doco was left with nothing, and except for a crippling depression and all sorts of other things. And what he comes up with at the end of the article, the newspaper article, is that if you can't make a monogamous relationship work, don't try to make a polyamorous relationship work, because that's not a solution. You don't have enough love. If you don't know how to give enough love to one person, you won't have enough love for all these other people, because there's a whole extra layer of issues, like pain, like jealousy, and you don't know how to deal with that one-on-one, you won't be able to deal with that 1 in 5. And if you think that your internal trauma, your internal issues that you have with you, which many of us have, you're not going to resolve it by having 5 boyfriends. You can't plug a hole in your soul with 5 dicks, okay? It's just not going to happen. If you want to heal, you need to heal yourself. And you also need to heal by being genuine, by being honest, by truly giving yourself. If you and your partner want to explore, that's great. That's fine. If you have a healthy relationship and you want to get out there, and perhaps not so much explore polyamory, but perhaps explore like an open relationship where you still love each other, but you also have have this monogamish relationship where you kind of go off and do your own thing or whatever. Don't know if I endorse that or support that, but if that's what you want to do, then go for it, as long as you understand the consequences. I hear a lot of positive things about people that enjoy this sort of like swinging lifestyle. Again, they're monogamous and they support each other, and the only thing they do is go to these parties. If that's if that works for them, great. But the core unit is still the two people. It's still not about hurting each other. It's about using this other stuff to support your passion for each other. And if you have so much love that for each other, you just can't wait to get it out and share, and you feel that you are so strong enough that you can handle any sort of fallout from that, great, go for it, explore that. But be aware of consequences. If you don't think you can deal with the consequences, if you don't think you can deal with jealousy, if you are not prepared to take the risks that maybe if your woman is out on a date with someone and she may want to explore that more than with you, and you from being a primary become secondary, it's down below, don't do it. It's not worth it. It's not worth losing your partner, your girlfriend, your fiance, your wife, your husband, your whatever, for this fantasy, for this idea. So at the end of the day, everyone has their own life. They can make their own choices. If you want to step up your life, that's up to you. But that's just been my experience learning about these relationships, which again I find truly fascinating. But there are many reasons why I guess monogamous relationships are still the go-to. That's what the society is essentially built on, the monogamous relationship. And any kind of any sort of movement is from that starting point. If you have a strong monogamous relationship and you want to move to a more monogamish relationship or whatever, if you have enough strength, if you have enough core strength in that relationship, great. If you don't know how to love the other person, if your relationship doesn't have trust, support, if your partner is only there for themselves and not for you, and you don't care about if you are within a relationship where the two of you are not supporting each other, where you can't rely on them, you're not gonna make it better by fucking other people. You're gonna make it worse, a whole lot worse. So anyway, that's my rant for today. Hopefully you find it useful. As always, feel free to comment or message. Obviously, with all of these things, messaging is sometimes easier. And thank you, by the way, to all the people that have messaged me over the last vlog. That's why I do this. If I get one or two people to whom this means something, that it connects to, then I've done my job. I'm sharing what I've learned, and I'm sharing what I feel with people, and if it resonates with them, if it makes a difference, if it makes them connect with what they've experienced before, then that's amazing. Anyway, have a good day, guys, and hopefully I'll do another one soon about something or other. Cheers.